All right, good evening. Let's try that again. Good evening, everyone. Pet Man Matt Mara. Welcome to Friday Night Live. Um, I tell you, every Friday we get to bigger and bigger games, and tonight was no exception. We had some great football games go on across the Charlotte metro area. A lot of scores came across. We saw some results that we weren't expecting. Of course, we did get some results that we were expecting. Some teams won a conference championship tonight. Other teams put themselves in, position for playoff contention. Um, Next week we've got a lot of huge, big games next week. But before we get to that, we'll talk about what happened tonight. Um, I'll start with the game me and producer were at. We were at Olympic at RGKL, which was, one of many great football games tonight. RGKL ended up winning that game 13-12. Um, Old school defensive struggle, man. I feel like both defenses played well. From the opening kickoff, Albert Fleming the fourth, who I felt like had a really good game for Olympic, had a big hit and caused the fumble. The Trojans got the ball, able to kick a field goal on their first drive, took a 3-0 lead. Audrey Kill came back with a nice drive, a lot of tempo, no huddle type stuff, quick passing, getting the ball out of the hands. Jack Curtis, I felt like, orchestrated that offense well. They got down to the 1 yard line, and the Olympic defense were able to force a red zone stop on downs, turnover on downs from the one. So there was a big stop for those guys. But Audrey Kill was able to force the punt. They got the ball back. And then Jack Curtis found Mr. Pursuti for a touchdown. And Audrey Kill took a 7-3 lead into halftime. Um, Coming back out, third quarter was a lot more defense on both sides. Both teams were playing field position. Um, and then in the fourth quarter, Olympic was able to drive and get a short field goal to cut the lead to 7-6 for Audrey Kill. And then they were able to get another stop, and then they were able to drive and get a touchdown by Nashawn Pritchett, 9-yard touchdown run. Um, 12. They took a 12-7 lead with about 2.5 minutes left in the game. And then RG Kill, on the kickoff, they got pretty good field position up around the 40-yard line. They got some help with a personal foul penalty on Olympic and then an offsides penalty, so they got 20 yards of penalties. But then they were able to drive, and then from about the 10-yard line, they called play action bootleg, and Jack Curtis rolled out and found number 16. God, his last name escapes me. His first name's Jack. I want to say it's Tucker, but I feel like that might be wrong. But the play is on my Twitter. It was an awesome play because he caught the ball short of the end zone, and he was able to bully his way into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown and the 13-12 final margin. So I feel like both defenses really played well. But both offenses, I feel like, were opportunistic at times. They made some things happen. It was a well-played football game between two very good teams. And as a result of that, RGKL is still in the contention, for a conference title because of what happened at Myers Park in South Meck. And we had Justin Adams there, and we had, I just found out, I had Michael McCarver there, and I didn't even know. He's one of the best photographers around. So he has a few nice pictures up on Twitter that I just retweeted. But Myers Park and South Meck played an old school defensive game. South Meck was able to win that game 3-0, and we win a game 3-0. That's something we used to see back in the '80s and '70s a lot when they played that old school rugged football. And today you rarely see that. So if you love defensive football, you would have appreciated the effort of both of those teams tonight. But because South Meck won that game, as I said, there's a three-way tie on the top of the SOMEC between South Meck, RG Kell, and Myers Park. Excuse me. So we'll talk more about this next week. But Olympic has Myers Park next week. Um, let's see. South Meck has Harding, and then I'm trying to think who RG Kell has. Maybe they have Barry. I don't know if they've played Barry yet. That's maybe who they have. I don't have a schedule in front of me, but it's gonna come down to the end. I mean, that's what you want. It's awesome stuff, and it's something we said from the beginning of the season that was a possibility for the SOMEC. Coming into it with all four of those teams that we talked about are very close in nature. All right, let's see what you guys got to say here. All right, first of all, Michael Buck coming in. Lake Norman 25-14 over South Iredale. So we're talking about big games next week. That sets up a big game. Kyle, I joke that he's a chat administrator, but he's already tweeting out the big Lake Norman Mooresville game, which is going to end up being for the number 2 spot out of the Greater Metro, because Hickory Ridge won the conference tonight. They cinched it with a 28-17 win over Cox Mills. So congratulations to Hickory Ridge on the conference championship. And then we'll see if Lake Norman or Mooresville get the number 2 seed. And it's good to settle it on the field. It's good to settle it on the field, man, for sure. That's awesome. Miss Moten, let's go, AK. Hey, the producer told me that he met you, so I was glad that y'all were able to meet. I still haven't met you in person, but that's okay. But yes, big win for RG Kell tonight. Dre Duncan, what's good, man? Thanks for watching. Appreciate it, Dre. Good stuff. All right, let's see. Oh, thank you, Jack Barker. Thank you for that. Mr. Curtis, I appreciate it. That's the young man that caught the game-winning touchdown at RG Kell tonight. Really, really great play right there. And okay, RG Kell, Barry. All right, there we go. Good stuff. All right, Miss Fish coming in. Stuart Kramer, 49, North Gaston 14. Nice. Congratulations, Stuart Kramer. That win is going to help keep them in contention for a wild card spot. That's something obviously we're going to take a big look at next week on the show. Excuse me. I think High School OT is doing some playoff projections. So you can check those out. I think they'll start updating those again probably early next week. And then if they're done on Wednesday, I don't mind using their projections to kind of talk about that and talk through some things. Look at RPI, and that'll give us an idea of who's in, who's out, who's on the bubble. We'll break down all of that stuff. It's going to be a big, heavy playoff edition, pre-playoff edition, Football Focus Weekly next Wednesday. So if you got a pretty good team, buckle in, because that's going to be a lot of fun when we start talking about those things and what the matchups could be and what you got to do to get there for you teams that are on the bubble. All right, Independence, Miss Belt coming in. Independence 26, Rocky River nothing. Big win for Independence, and we talked about this briefly, that Independence has still has an outside chance of getting a wild card spot. They have to win out. They've got a big game next week against Butler. That's a rival game, and people look at it and say, Butler's very good, and they're probably one of the best in the area. But rival games, you never know what can happen. And speaking of that, the Queen is ready to join us, and she's already told me she's going to that game.
Man, listen, if you don't know about Butler Independence, then that game right there, that is one I will be looking forward to.
And you are an Independence grad.
Yes. I mean, I'm past that at this point. You know what I mean? I've been out of school a long time. So, it doesn't hold as much weight as it used to, but it's still a rivalry game. And it's been a while since I've been to one. So I just feel like it'll be something cool, for me to get the experience. I get to go to Butler, get me another t shirt. I've been buying t shirts from all the schools that I go to. So this will be another one I'll get to pick up. So excited for a lot of reasons for this game.
Yeah, you bought one tonight, and we'll talk about West Charlotte and Chambers. That's where you were tonight.
So it started out as a back and forth. It was Chambers homecoming, so they had a lot of fire going into the game. And like I said, it was a back and forth for all of the first half. And then about the third quarter, um, number 25, I just looked his name up. Jaden Reeder. This guy
Oh
had,
yeah.
I don't know if he had both scooping scores, but he definitely had that first one. And
Hmm.
yeah, they separated themselves towards the end of the game. Still a good game. But hats off to Chambers. I don't know if that Huff loss, you know, put a spark in them, to just kind of run rampant on teams, because it just kind of seems like what they've been doing, the last few weeks. So yeah, but and still hats off to Coach Griner's team, because they kept it close for a long time. They hung in there, and they had some injuries, on their side that kind of stifled them a little bit. But then they had some explosive plays, like I told you about. Number 4, I'm sorry I don't know your name, but taking off for that, it had to be at least 70 yards, a touchdown, and I mean he ran probably a 4-3. Just lightning is what it looked like. I mean, for me to tweet what I tweeted out about that, lightning. So yeah, so it was definitely an interesting game. Um, Hats off to
All
both
right.
schools.
Awesome. And so West Charlotte showing that they, when they get into the 3A bracket, they could be a force with the
Yeah,
right matchups. So, excellent. Good stuff. All right. Coach Weber, Big Shelby, 62-29 win over East
I
Gaston.
still went to a Shelby game.
We're going to get there. Well, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
I'm going to get there. I promise. I promise. Let's see. Gary Ashley checking in. East Forsyth wins a big win in 3 overtimes over Glenn.
Boy.
44-38. Wow. Nice win for East Forsyth. That's a big matchup up in the Triad area there. Good stuff. East Forsyth, another strong team. Coach Evans.
Oh,
Age 10
oh,
years
poor
tonight.
guy.
You know, I can imagine. Um, you know, Coach Evans is a heck of a coach, man. But calling that offense in a 3-0 game, I feel you. I'd be pulling my hair out too.
Mm.
What little bit I have, but hey, it's
I
good to
mean, that was
age
a
10
heck of a.
years.
I get that South Meck lost that game, but that was still a heck of a game. I mean, won that game, but that was still a heck of a game by both teams. Like, I'm a defensive girl. Somebody was actually just telling me that off air, like, that was probably your type of game, and I'm like, it was. I'm all about defense. That was. I wish I had been there actually.
Well, we had Mike there and we had Justin there, so
Yeah.
um, that's good stuff. But I do want to take 1 second and say something, and I hate to do this kind of stuff, but I've been told about something that occurred at after this game, and it's we gotta be smart about keeping our emotions in check. Um, High school football is very emotional, especially when you're playing in a big game, and sometimes things don't go your way. Um, we as not only as coaches and players, but as fans, we have to know um, about boundaries. And some boundaries apparently got crossed. After the South Meck and Myers Park game, and it involved some players and some fans, and a fan got hurt, and that should never happen. That should never happen. All of us have to work together and controlling these kind of situations. Um, and that's all I really want to say because we all have to be smart um, about things and you know keep in mind football is a game. Yes, we do this and we put a lot of time into it. But at the end of the day, it's an extracurricular activity. It's meant for entertainment. It's meant to be fun. And we got to keep that perspective. We got to keep that perspective. I know it's very serious. We are trying to help, kids, get to the next level in some cases. There are serious, jobs that you can, gain, out of this game. But at the end of the day, it's a game. It is a game. And when you cross the line, I'm sorry. You have to learn a lesson, so I'm not going to speak about names and all that, but it was disappointing to hear that news. And when you talk, and then we have a lot of parents that watch this show, remind your kids, you got to be smart because everything you do in life, there's a consequence. And there's going to be some consequences that come out of this, and they're going to be unfortunate. And I hate, to say that, but at the end of the day, we all have to have, and one of the things Coach Evans always talks about is the standard. You got to have a standard for everything you do. And whether you're a coach, whether you're a player, whether you're a fan, you all have to follow that standard. And if you don't follow the standard, consequences and, things are going to happen. So I hated to hear that news. Some of you may know what I'm talking about, but I just want to touch on that real quick. All right, Coach Weber, County and Conference Championship next Friday, Burns at Shelby. We just had Coach Devine on the show. Really, really good guy if you were able to check that out. That's going to be a huge game. So good luck to both of you teams. I'm not going to promise if anyone's going to be there because things always seem to happen when we say we're going to come and then we don't come. All right, let's see. Karen Belk. South Point 17, Forest View 14 in double overtime. I saw the updates from that game on the Forest View Athletics Twitter. South Point able to pull that victory out in double overtime. That's a huge win for them. It strengthens their chances of getting a wild card berth. I think they're 6-3 now. They should feel pretty good about that. Forest View, they're sitting right there on that bubble. We'll take a look at projections next week on the show and see where they have Forest View. But whoever you got next week, got to get a win. You got to get a win for sure. But a huge win for South Point on that one. I'm sorry. If I would have known, I would have made time. I promise you. Next time. All right, let's see. Hickory Ridge, 28-17 over Cox Mill. Congratulations, Coach. That was a nice. I saw it's a comeback victory. Hickory Ridge was down, I think, 17-7 in that game, and was able to come back and get that victory. So, congratulations once again. That was a conference championship sealing victory for Hickory Ridge, and they're going to have a nice seed, in the playoffs when those start. All right. Ooh, Stuart Kramer and Forest View next week. Oh man, that might be a loser leave town match. That's what we call those bubble games. That's a huge bubble game for both of those teams right there. That's big time in Gaston County. I hear you. Good stuff. Let's see, LaShawn Parks. I met the Queen tonight. Oh, okay. Coach from West Charlotte that spoke to her on the West Charlotte sideline.
Yeah, he did too. He was like, "Hey, Cherie." I was like, "Hello." No, it was nice to meet him though. Real good. Nice to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you watching, man. Good stuff. Let's see. Oh, Coach Trotter, what's up? Pine Lake Prep versus Community School Davidson at the Gray next week. Potential three-way tie for the conference championship and the two-way conference championship up for grabs. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff, man. That's gonna be a huge one. See, Community School of Davidson, I think, is undefeated in conference right now, and Mountain Island Charter won big tonight over Carver, 39-0. So that's that three-way tie we're talking about. That's potential right there. I think Coach, he sent me some stats. Let me get those pulled up so we can share what you guys did tonight. Let's see. Big win, 32-15 over Lake Norman Charter. Pine Lake is now 6-2 on the season. Noah Murphy had a big night, 158 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, 2-point conversion, and had a bunch of tackles on defense. And quarterback Nick Reed, I like that kid. I saw him up close when they played Mountain Island. 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and a passing 2-point conversion. So, hey, good stuff for Pine Lake and a big game next week. We got a lot of big games next week. I'm excited to break them down on the show. All right, real quick, you guys are laughing at us because we're tripping over here. I'm going to pull up the scoreboard. We'll run through those, and then we'll say good night because I got to be at work at 6 a.m. On a Saturday. Oh, you guys are lucky. All right. Mallard Creek big over West Meck 40-7. Let's see. North Meck over Hopewell 23-6. That was the battle of the Shield. North Meck retains the Shield for another year. Let's see. Carson over Central Bears 35-20. Kings Mountain over Ashbrook big 51-0. Charlotte Latin back in the win column 35-0 over Country Day. Marvin Ridge still rolling 49-23 over Sun Valley. Weddington 28, Cuthbertson 13. Big win for Covenant Day. They defeat Hickory Grove Christian 28-6. Congrats to Covenant Day. Christ School picking up a big win 34-31 over Charlotte Christian. That's probably going to put Charlotte Christian in the Division II playoffs most likely. Christ School, I think maybe in that same bracket. Let's see. Catawba Ridge 16-13 over Indian Land in overtime. That's a big win for Catawba Ridge, keeping them really playoff eligible down in South Carolina. Oh, listen to this. Big win. Providence Day 25, Rabun Gap 14. That was Rabun Gap's first conference loss. Providence Day now looking strong in the conference. They're starting to get it going and going in the right direction under Coach Greer. And that's a huge win for those guys. In our pick'em this week, we all picked Fort Mill to win. Bowling Springs beat Fort Mill 36-22, so we all got that wrong. Good gracious. We will never be perfect again. Congrats to Boiling Springs on getting their first win of the season. Parkwood over Anson, 26-20, big win for Coach Gittens and those guys in Union County. Monroe's still rolling, 48-0 big over West Stanley. York continuing to roll, number 3 in our South Carolina upstate poll, 34-6 over Lancaster. J.M. Robinson still going strong, 54-7 over South Stanley. Briefly mentioned Mountain Island Charter 39, Winston-Salem Carver 0. Mountain Island 8-1 on the season. Coach Washington bouncing back big from the spring where they went 2-5. I did speak with him briefly after the game. He wanted to shout out all of his coaches for doing a great job. Coach Washington had a death in the family he had to deal with this week, so really wanted to shout out his coaches and players for really picking up the slack and doing a great job this week. Forest Hills 31, Trinity Christian 8. Good win for Forest Hills. Let's see. South Lake over High Point Christian 21-20. Mentioned Community School of Davidson. They're still rolling 45-8 over Christ the King. Congratulations to the Concord Spiders. South Piedmont Conference champions 21-13 over West Rowan. This guy right here picked Concord 7th in the conference. I'm sliming myself. And if I had some water, I'd pour it on myself because that was a horrible pick. And I'm glad Concord proved me wrong. Great kids up there. Good coach, and Coach Paxton, really good guy. Congrats to you guys. I hope you guys are celebrating big tonight. East Lincoln 42, North Iredale nothing. North Stanley 21-18 over Mount Pleasant. That's a bit of a upset right there. Congrats to North Stanley on that win. East Rowan 36, South Rowan 22. Burns Bulldogs and Coach Devine big over Cherville 47-0. Hickory Coach Glass getting it done 64-14 over Fred T. Ford. Got a lot of scores tonight. I feel like I've been talking for like 10 minutes. Huff 52-3 over West Cabarrus. Mooresville, we talked about them earlier. 14-6 over A.O. Brown, setting up that big matchup with Lake Norman. Charlotte Catholic, big over East Meck, 42-7. Bouncing back from their loss to Butler. Porter Ridge, 56. Piedmont, nothing. Porter Ridge back rolling strong. Crest rolling strong, 57-6 over Hunter Huss. Talk about Stuart Kramer over North Gaston. South Point over Forestview in double overtime. Rock Hill falls to Ridgeview 27-6. We got Albemarle over Union Academy 46-20. Legion Collegiate out of Rock Hill 24-21 over Landrum. Y'all know where Landrum is? I don't know where Landrum is.
Not at all.
All right, somewhere in South Carolina. And Carolina Bearcats 34-8 over the Sand Hill Titans. All right. Those are the scores. Yep, Gary, we talked about Chambers in West Charlotte. That's where the Queen was, and she discussed that a couple minutes ago. So, that being said, big shows next week. Make sure you check them out. Between the Lines will be back. I was on a mini vacation in Atlanta. That's why we didn't do Between the Lines. But it'll be back this week. We got some big games to break down in detail. Then Wednesday night, Football Focus Weekly, pre-playoff show. A lot of good stuff on there about the playoffs, projections, who's probably in, who's out, who's got to win a conference championship. All of that good fun stuff will be on that show. And then next week, after Friday Night Live, Saturday is the playoff bracket special. So once the brackets get released and finalized, I'll go live, and whoever else wants to join me will come on, and we'll discuss the brackets, talk about matchups, and we've got a big bracket this year, so this show is going to be fun. If you really like getting into high school football and matchups and all that good stuff, make sure you tune in next Saturday. Time to be determined because we don't know when the brackets will be done. So, that being said, for the Queen, I am Petman Matt Morrow. Good night. Have a great weekend. See you guys next week.